Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
How's it going? I'm your host who drank so much coffee today, I'm fairly certain I looked into another dimension. You know, like everything started phasing. Joe Wakefield.
And I can smell colors. Hi, I'm Ryan Lang.
Speaking of colors, that other dimension, a lot of purple.
A lot of purple there.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know if it was just kind of a weird tint, but yeah. You know what it reminded me of? Planet Cyclo from Battlefield Earth. Just saying. Hi, guys. That's right. So, for those of you who are returning, hello, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Thank you. Please download the episode. Downloading the episode is actually the best way to support the show.
It is.
And for those of you joining us for the first time, you might be asking, what is it you do here? What is Earthling Entertainment all about? Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you.
You will.
What we do here is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy. Sometimes it's cryptozoology. Other times it's a myth or a legend or some crazy curse, but it's always spooky. And that is why it is in our first segment we call Spooky Stuff. That, of course, is followed by another thing that we call Disclosure Discussion. That one's all about aliens.
I'm just asking questions. UFO stories, UFO photos, videos, anything about the interdimensional. That's the kind of stuff we like to talk about.
Yeah, if it's not of this earth, everything here being terrestrial, this is
Yeah.
the extraterrestrial
Yeah.
aspect.
It's very extra.
It is. Yes. It's a good segment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is followed by the second half of the show, which is all dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Now, sometimes we have celebrity guests, or we do trivia games. We occasionally have audio dramas. We usually have some kind of news, mostly due to entertainment and like the genre kind of scope. That is what we call our pop culture section. And those two things together, the spooky half with the entertainment half, join forces to create the ultimate Oreo of a podcast known as Earthling Entertainment. Welcome.
Welcome indeed. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys. Oh, it's so much fun to see our audience grow and grow. We have a lot of things coming up. We are actually going to be at a convention in New Jersey.
The third annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference. It's going to be Saturday, June 7th, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah, and that'll be held at a great place called Our House. Now, I think it's funny because when the commercial plays, I've always giggled to myself because it's like, it'll be at our house. And I'm
Right.
like, hold on, is it just going to be at somebody's house? And look it up. No, it's this very historic hall. It's pretty cool.
Our House Banquet Facility on 420 Adelphia Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey.
Yeah, so if you guys are there or you want to check it out, you can come see us. You could talk to Joe and Ryan. We get a sticker. We have some other prizes that we're going to be giving out there. I don't want to say too much because we haven't finalized exactly what we're going to do. Some of the ideas we floated around are tote bags, keychains, what was it, beer koozie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
We'll see what's there, and we're also going to have a little bit of a raffle for a grand prize, which
That's right.
Once again, we need to finalize before we report, but that's something fun with us. There's a lot of good events. Apparently, one of the events is the Minecraft movie, which went nuts this weekend. Ryan, didn't you see it?
I did, and I took my two kids with me, 8 and 5 years old, and we get in there, and right from the start, already, like, my kids are really excited, and so I'm telling them, like, shh, we're in a movie theater, whatever. And then, all of a sudden, the entire theater just starts to erupt at, like, every new character reveal. Like, kids just, like, screaming out the names and everything like that. Everyone's losing their mind. It was wild. And then I was like, as a parent, I'm like, cool, I get to just sit back and just let them go nuts, I guess. Everyone's just losing their mind.
Sounds like the perfect movie to take your kids to.
It was great. And I'm sure it wasn't for a lot of people, right? But I mean, if you're going to Minecraft movie, remember the target market of this movie is for basically preteens and young teens who are obsessed with this game. It came out in 2011, but it amassed a huge following because of streamers. There are so many famous streamers who brought it kind of back into the. My kids love it. My kid loves Minecraft.
You know what? I just never got into it, and I am a gamer. You know, I don't have a stream or anything like that, but I do play a lot of games. I don't get Minecraft beyond the fact that I understand you're building and you're building in these square blocks. And I understand there's weird little guys who could blow up what you build and you have goals. And I mean, I get it in concept. It's like a Lego system online. It didn't do well for me. And honestly, I thought the movie would flop. I really did. And the reason why I thought it would flop was because I'm reminded of Warcraft. Like
Yeah.
how big of an audience did Warcraft have? And then when the movie came out, it didn't do very well. And you're talking about there's parts in this Minecraft movie where your kids were cheering because hey, look, it's the this or that from the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Everybody was.
But they did the same thing in Minecraft. Excuse me. They did the same thing in
Warcraft.
and there wasn't cheering. People were like, ugh, way to patronize. And people were like, oh yeah, trying to cater to the audience, and no one knew what you were doing. It was an inside joke, but you're saying it worked. So why did it work for one and not the other? Was it because a younger audience?
A younger audience, and also I think just the platform difference. There's like a seriousness I think that comes with like Warcraft fans, Blizzard fans, whereas when you got Minecraft, like I said, it seems to be more silly. Like obviously it's already in blocks, and it becomes similar to games like Fortnite and stuff like that, where it's basically like a big MMO because you join on servers with other people in Minecraft, right? So then it just becomes showing off like what you're wearing, like what your avatar is, stuff like that.
Sure. They touched on that a lot in the Ready Player One book of just how fashion in the Oasis, their version of the online system, was the same as in the real world, where you'd have to spend money to get certain clothes and skins. And they do that in games, a lot of games.
Yeah.
So it's a fun little idea. Look into where we might be headed, because the younger generation apparently has completely embraced this.
And what was interesting is they put a lot of heart in it too, like with like the references and stuff. Like I didn't get this. I found out on TikTok later. One scene in the movie, this pig walks by them and he's wearing a crown, and the kid's like, "Oh, is he a king?" And Jack Black goes, "No, he's a legend."
And that's from the game, I take it.
It's because he was a streamer named Technoblade, and he is basically one of the ones who started doing the streaming with Mike. Basically made it what it is today for kids being into Minecraft, watching these streamer videos. He was pretty much one of the ones who paved the road.
So yeah, he helped popularize it. So they did a nice tip of the hat to him.
Well, it's about to get sad. He passed away from cancer at a young age, like
oh
20.
God. Oh.
So it was
You're
a
right,
very
it got terribly sad.
It was a very big tip of the hat. You know what I mean? So like, well, I was like, okay, you know what I mean? So once you start like there's so many things that obviously we wouldn't get because we don't play the game, but there's a whole culture around it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It makes sense. I'm just impressed and happy because everyone's always said that video game movies are crap. And that's slowly been changing over time. The Last of Us is a TV show, but once again, based on a video game, very popular. The Detective Pikachu was the first one that I remember people being pretty stoked on based on a video game.
And that one, unfortunately, really didn't please a lot of fans.
Yeah, but it did well.
It did well. Yeah, it did well, and it looked cool.
I don't know why it didn't please fans.
It was just, I don't know.
It's based on the Detective Pikachu game, not Pokemon overall.
See, there you go. See, I never played that game, so I wouldn't even know.
All right. Well, that aside, this is a huge win for video game movies. I mean, it's pretty successful, despite the fact that I think it's silly to make a Minecraft movie. The Lego movie proved that it could work, and now this movie proves it again.
And Super Mario Brothers.
That's why I think we should option Lincoln Logs, the movie. I'm just saying, we could get real into this game, man.
Okay, trademark, Earthling Entertainment, Lincoln Logs, let's talk.
Lincoln Logs movie. You know how we do it is the Lincoln Logs are used to build a giant barrier between a forest and a post-apocalyptic shantytown. This shantytown is only run by kids under the age of 14 because everyone older than that is forced to be ousted in the town and killed in the woods by the Sasquatch, who have taken over the entire planet. And it's a post-apocalyptic show, and we call it Squash Watch. I'm sorry, Lincoln Logs, the movie. We just kind of turn it into what we want. They did it with 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
That first season was based on the film, and then the guy just went off on the story he wanted to tell. We did the same thing.
Yeah, why not?
Thanks for going on that journey with me. All right, guys. So With that, do you want to jump into spooky stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Spooky stuff.
The Pope Lick Monster. The Pope Lick Monster is a legend local to the city of Louisville, Kentucky. Its identity has shifted throughout generations, and the birth of the internet caused a revival of this particular tale over the past 20 years. According to legend, this monster may take on the form of a creature that is half man and half goat.
And
Half
half
man.
pig.
Yes.
Bad bear pig.
Bad bear pig.
No, half man, half goat. I'm with you.
And then half man and half sheep. Or a hybrid that is also headless.
Oh, that's horrifying.
The area it hunts is located at the Pope Lick Trestle outside the city, about a 20-minute drive from the iconic Louisville Slugger Museum downtown. For those unaware of the term, a train trestle is a type of bridge used to support railway tracks. In most accounts, the Pope Lick Monster, named after the Pope Lick Creek below the Pope Lick train trestle.
Oh, that's kind of a mouthful.
I pulled it off.
All right.
Appears as a human-goat hybrid with the grotesquely deformed body of a man. It has powerful, fur-covered goat legs, an alabaster skin face with an aquiline nose and a wide-set eyes. Short, sharp horns protrude from the forehead, nestled in long, greasy hair that matches the color of the fur on the legs. The earliest mention of the Pope Lick Trestle can be found in an article from the Courier Journal in December 1909. The Courier Journal, a local newspaper that has been in print since 1868, now has online archives for issues dating back at least 100 years. This particular article announces a train wreck caused by a broken brake beam by unknown means. The suspicions of an unknown powerful entity started with this article.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Can you imagine? He's just like breaking bridges and just like, I'm a mischievous goat man.
Like a troll or something like that. Like maybe it's pissed off. Like, it doesn't want get this trestle out of my belly.
I mean, traditionally, there's a lot of creatures living under bridges, so
Yeah,
I buy it.
I buy it. Well, I mean, yeah, they don't want it there, right? Is that the thing? Like, I'll take this as cover, but you're not allowed to walk on it.
Fair enough.
I don't care if you built it. As far as the archive is concerned, this is the only mention of the trestle up until the 1980s. There is no easy way to tell how many times journalists wrote about the trestle within that 70-year period in articles that have not yet been archived. Furthermore, what simply travels by word of mouth is not always deemed particularly newsworthy.
Yeah, in other words, people have been talking about it. There's been other stories. It just
Yes.
hasn't necessarily been in newspapers,
Especially if it's considered controversial.
which makes a lot of sense. They're like, oh, we can't publish hearsay.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
But that's all, history. Let's be honest, break it down. It's his story. Oral histories is how we work. So I don't know. Just because it wasn't published, I feel like that's not fair. There's a lot of talk, a lot of local legends.
Right. So if there were more accidents like this one, any resulting in injury or death, a rise in superstition due to no cause being found for these incidents in the area would certainly warrant an investigation. Word spread of a malevolent train-wrecking goat creature fast. And with that, a total panic.
That's fair, man. The railroad was a huge part of not just economic, but how people traveled there. I mean, it was everything when it was built. So that'd be like us living our lives saying, there's a random goat man who'll just run out into the middle of the road and knock your car off. It's like, that'd be horrifying. Every time you travel or do anything, you'd be like, oh shit, random goats.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
that would definitely put a damper on things.
It would. Interesting side note that has nothing to do with anything. When Ninja Turtles were created, it started out because they wanted to make a bus-kicking turtle, and it was a turtle that came out dressed as a ninja who kicked the bus spun around and went in the opposite direction, and that joke continued until they created the Ninja Turtles, Eastman and Laird.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So back to this guy who's destroying trains.
Numerous urban legends exist about the creature's origins and the methods it employs to claim its victims. According to some accounts, the creature uses either hypnosis or voice mimicry to lure trespassers to the trestle to meet their death before an oncoming train.
Oh, that's horrifying.
So it lures you right there and like fucks with you a little bit so you don't even hear the train coming.
Yeah, anytime there's a creature that makes disguises their voice as people it's always horrifying. It was horrifying in Terminator 2. It's horrifying in It. You know what the worst was? There was this Natalie Portman movie called, I think it was Extinction. I'm not sure, but they had a bear that after it killed a woman, it like mimicked her voice, so it would open its mouth and scream, and it was the woman's screams right before she was killed by this bear. And that
That
was probably the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. And it
I'm
was Annihilation. That's what it was. The Natalie Portman film Annihilation.
even the Leprechaun could do voice mimicry. He did it of the old man's wife in the first one.
Fair
He
enough.
totally could.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a lot more examples. I was going a little highbrow, and you're like, the leprechaun.
The fucking leprechaun. Other stories claim the monster jumps down from the trestle onto the roofs of cars, passing beneath it. Yet other legends tell that it attacks its victims with a blood-stained axe. That's metal as fuck. It has also been said that the very sight of the creature is so unsettling that those who see it while walking across the high trestle are driven to simply leap off. Other legends explain the creature's origins, including that it is a human goat hybrid, and that it was a circus freak who vowed revenge after being mistreated. In one version, the creature escaped after a train derailed on the trestle, which actually links the Poplik monster to the legend of the ghost train, which has also been cited.
Honestly, that is my favorite version, the origin of this creature. I'm just a fan of the whole, I don't know, early 1900s or late 1800s circus life with the freak shows. And I just, there's something really, even though it was a terrible time to live and I would not want to have lived back then, for some reason it's very romanticized.
I agree. There is
Yeah.
something about it where it's like you'd love to spend like a few days in that time, and but as long as I could come back.
It feels like a very like asshole privileged thing to say, but it's like I would like to live at that time, but be one of the rich ones. Like
If you would.
it's horrible, right?
Like, well, another version claims. Excuse me.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah, I just had to burp. Another version claims that the monster is really the twisted reincarnation of a farmer who sacrificed goats in exchange for satanic powers.
As one does.
Let's remember that Satan is often depicted with goats or as a horned and hooved figure, a reference to the Gospel of Matthew, which says that Jesus will separate the sheep from the goats on Judgment Day.
It kind of blew my mind that that is that is what the Bible, said, and people took that as, yep, see, goats, sign of the devil forever after that.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
No, I never knew that either. I thought that
'Cause
was
it was
interesting.
just such such associated for such a long time with that. I don't know, that imagery.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I didn't know that either until I did this article. So the infamous Poplik train trestle has become a favorite spot for kids, especially ones conducting lighthearted bravery tests, daring someone to climb the trestle.
Like one does in The Lost Boys.
This has not always been fun and games, however. In the summer of 1987, a young boy fell to his death from the trestle after speculation that he was evading an oncoming train, and this fate was met again by a young boy 13 years later. On April 23rd, 2016, a 26-year-old tourist, Raquel Bain, from Ohio, died after being hit by a train while searching for the monster. Her boyfriend survived by hanging on the side of the trestle.
I mean, she should have jumped and hung on too. It's tough to say, man. I feel weird because it's like kids dying on train tracks. That always happens, especially on a trestle, because usually you're suspended so high off the ground you can't just simply jump off. So
But
you're in
that's
a
like right out of Stand By Me where they're running.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's unfortunately happens a lot, and I'm always reminded of when I was a kid, and I jumped on trains all the time, and I did so because where I'm at, there was car plants that kind of shipped parts from
Yeah.
plant to plant, so it never got up to like speed. It's always going almost 10 miles an hour. Like you could walk past it with a leisurely jog and kind of hop on. So I'm not as badass as I'm trying to make it sound, but still, the idea that like, oh, I could have just tripped and got my legs cut off and died and
Yes.
been one of the kids in that story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's-
Rough.
It happens. It is scary, man. No, like I want to say I saw the Wasn't there a clip of you doing that, jumping on a train?
Yeah, I did it. I did it in some movie. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't
Uh,
that Exposing Joe?
it was Exposing Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, I
Which you
get
could find
points.
on YouTube if you want. A 45-minute movie I was made when I was 18 in our high school.
It
So
was. It was a
I'm
good one.
sure you're gonna love it.
It's good. It's good. So, when it comes to modern day culture and the Poplic monster here, for those who play the popular trading card game MetaZoo Cryptid Nation, the Poplic train monster will be familiar as it is a useful card.
I have not played that card game, but now that I know there's a cryptid, like combat-based card game, I might look into it.
Now you're going to start collecting cards. You're starting with what was it, the Mars Attacks
Yeah.
cards, and now you're going to get these cards, Joe.
Well-
Like, Joe already has, we are surrounded by Joe's collections.
That's true. We do record in my personal library, so yeah.
It's getting wild. It's getting wild up in here.
It's tough because the more things I buy, the more I think, man, every time you're going to have to put this in storage or whatever. If you moving becomes more and more of a nightmare. When I was a bachelor and I literally had to move when I was in my 20s, I would just leave all of my stuff and just forego the deposit. I can't lie. I did it like 3 times. It was a very irresponsible thing to do. But
Yeah.
now that I have a family, apparently they want to keep our stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah. So
You know?
moving is just going to be horrible.
Oh yeah, it's y'all are in for it, man. I'm about to move soon. I'm not looking forward to it, but anyways, back to this half man, half goat creature here.
ADD, the podcast.
A monster, a hideous half man, half sheep mutation, whose hypnotic powers are so intense that he lures you out onto the tracks and into his eyes.
Dun dun dun.
Longingly into his eyes.
I like the vampiric power of like I could hypnotize you and you're just like mesmerized and you're staring at it and you're just walking slowly. And
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you're in the middle of the trestle and a train's coming. Oh man. So what do? You jump off and try to hang on the side like that one gentleman and his girlfriend unfortunately was hit by the train.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's rough because if you jump and you hang on, it's not just the hanging on, but you got to hang on long enough while it's shaking from the train.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be shaking like crazy. So you got to be strong enough to hold your own weight for a long period of time, depending on how long the train is, and it's vibrating. I'm reminded of Ace Ventura. Earthquake test.
Yeah. He's good.
With my help, he could be
he'll
the best.
So, such are the stories that have captured the imaginations of Louisville teenagers for 3 generations. Stories that have lured youth to the Poplic trestle in search of a dare, a thrill, a place to drink, an opportunity to scare a date or a friend.
Kids will be kids.
A legend kept alive only by word of mouth, confirmed by the excitable and credulous minds of adolescents, and emphasized by the ominous presence of a 100-foot high railroad trestle. Don't be tempted to climb too high, and beware if you happen to be on a train in Louisville, Kentucky. You never know. Many have reported to have died at the hooves of this dangerous creature called the Poplic monster, and you may be next.
All jokes aside, if they build the rec center that I proposed in Louisville, they wouldn't have this problem because the kids are out drinking and hanging out under the railroad because they had nothing to do. They had
That's
nothing to
true.
do, Ryan.
That's
Now,
true.
if they had opened up the pool hall that I had proposed, this wouldn't be a problem. But you know, basing city construction off ideas that came from 80s movies, you know, like the local rec center,
Yeah.
they don't go for it, Ryan.
Not typically, but let me tell you, I guarantee if you and I grew up there, we'd go.
Yeah,
We'd totally
go.
go.
There's a lot of things out there that I would totally do. Do you know that they actually have this fun museum all dedicated to alien stuff outside? What was it? I think Las Vegas?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, we're talking about it on this week's
Disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
Alien exhibits spark curiosity in museum near Las Vegas.
I'm so curious.
This comes to us from 8newsnow.com. A newly opened museum.
Hold on. I thought it was 8newsnow.com. I swear to God.
8 New Snow?
Yeah.
It's funny. I do see that too. A newly opened museum dedicated to aliens and other out of this world experiences is sharing a look at extraterrestrial life. The Outpost 51 Alien Museum, located in Boulder City, is packed with wild alien recreations and fascinating events linked to extraterrestrials. The owner, Tom Devlin, is a special effects artist and creates and builds the displays. One display includes a deep dive into the Roswell incident, complete with life-size replicas, I'd like to see them,
I
of
would
the
too.
aliens some believe crash landed there in 1947.
This sounds like a really cool museum
It really
because a
does.
lot of those. The only thing that could be better than a guy who does special effects would be like a straight up Imagineer. That's the only thing that could be better.
Yeah, I agree. So Roswell, seemingly the most famous UFO crash site in America, Devlin said. He also shared details, this was new to me, of the Kingman, Arizona crash of 1953, a lesser known UFO incident involving reported military recovery efforts and hush hush cover ups.
Hey man, maybe we need to dedicate a whole disclosure discussion to that one.
I agree. So I included a little info on it because it was new to me as well. A UFO crashed in Arizona, leaked documents claim. The U.S. seized a UFO in May 1953 that crashed outside Kingman near Route 66, according to a conversation between government officials. The visitors came tumbling down from the sky and slammed into the desert just east of Kingman, according to UFO researchers.
Ooh.
So I hadn't heard of that one.
No, I haven't either. It's a lot of fun.
So there's an exhibit here for it, which is awesome. There is also an Area 51 exhibit and a full section paying tribute to aliens in pop culture,
Yeah, all that makes sense. All that makes sense.
including a full-size Predator alien and a display dedicated to the 1988 cult classic They Live, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
The museum even has a gift shop loaded with intergalactic gear. Devlin is also the owner of Tom Devlin's Monster Museum, which is next to the new Outpost 51 Alien Museum.
So he's making it a whole little tourist spot.
Well, I
Good
mean, if
for
he's
him,
if
man.
he's good at what he does, he can make them and they look sweet. I can't wait to see what they look like because I couldn't find any photos yet. So you got to get. He wants people. You got to go there. You know.
Oh,
So,
I do want to go there. And we do have a photo of the outside of the museum. And
Yes.
yeah, and that's pretty cool. And I have one photo of the inside as well of 4 green aliens in a crashed spaceship. It is very, very cool. I want to check it out. But you know what I was thinking about is what a smart thing to have a gift shop for is anything alien related because the image of the alien, it's everywhere. So if you could go
I have it tattooed on my arm.
that's what I'm saying. You can go on Wish and buy like 100,000 little alien guys and then sell them at your gift shop for like 5 times the amount. And you know, you don't have to get any kind of specialized stuff. You want that. You want to have a mug that says, you know, like here is the museum's name, but you could also just buy alien stuff and sell it. It is genius, Ryan.
It is genius. It reminds me of the Uranus Fudge Factory. They had a lot of that.
Yes, this is a real factory that makes real fudge, and they really lean into the joke of being about the planet Uranus.
The best fudge comes from Uranus. That's literally their slogan.
So, guys, if you want to visit a fudge factory or a really cool alien museum just outside of Las Vegas, I think we should contact them and see if we can go and visit. See if they'll
that'd be awesome.
be like, look, we'll have a whole episode dedicated to advertising your museum. All we ask is you let us in for free and let us record.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see. Update on that later. But guys, we have another one here. A nice UFO reporting.
Odd red UFO filmed by Cancun motorist. A motorist in Cancun was left scratching his head at the sight of an odd red UFO that lit up the night sky over the Mexican city. According to a local media report, the curious sighting occurred in the early morning hours of April 1st as the unnamed driver was stopped in traffic. Ooh, what a bummer on April Fool's Day. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
no one would believe you. Like, if you actually see a UFO on April 1st, no one will believe you. They'll be like, yeah, April Fools. So, letting his eyes wander as he waited to continue on his journey, the man was taken aback when he noticed the fairly sizable illuminated object out on the horizon. Awestruck by what he was seeing, the witness managed to briefly film the peculiar UFO, marveling, "Have you seen the sky? Guys, this is happening in Cancun." Alas, a different red light brought an end to the footage as the traffic signal changed and the man had to resume driving. So he smartly stopped filming the scene and turned his attention back on the road.
And the video was clearly taken from a car in the middle of traffic. So I believe it. You know, you watch some of these UFO videos where they conveniently shut off at a weird time when something's about to happen. This one seems legit.
Right. The witness subsequently shared his footage on social media, where one individual claimed to have also seen a blue light over Cancun that evening. Theories for what the UFO could have been included fireworks, a meteorological phenomenon known as a red sprite, and of course, aliens. Tell us your thoughts at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com.
You know, it seemed a little bit to me like it could have been one of those flares, like a military flare, because
I did see that video. It's
Yeah.
funny when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I saw that."
yeah, it's red and it looks like it could be just a light in the sky, like a fireball, a flare, like we were saying. It just the only thing that makes me think maybe not is the way it moves. Doesn't seem to be. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be falling in the way I'd imagine it would. But if it was high enough in the atmosphere and kind of far away, it might appear like it's going across the horizon when it's really falling down.
And maybe it's just like a piece of equipment dropping from our atmosphere because that's in Cancun, right? So that's right by the Gulf of Mexico. So
Yeah.
maybe it's dropping in there, like it could be something like that.
I mean, military, SpaceX, NASA, everyone launches things all the time. So,
Right.
they do occasionally drop parts. Not all of them have a really handy way of retrieving these, what is it, fuel tanks that they drop and other things. So
Yeah.
they just kind of do it over the water.
But I agree with you that there is something different about this video. It seems like a legit video that this guy was just like, what the hell is that? Slow moving red orb in the sky, leaving a trail behind it.
But the weird thing is someone else saying that they saw a blue one. Like you could dismiss a red one as, oh, it's fire, it's flame, it's something, But a blue one, I mean, I guess
Oh,
if fire's
no.
hot enough, it's blue. But the difference in lights.
It's the dress again.
What?
It's that dress again, the dreaded dress that went around where everybody was either seeing blue and black or gold and white on the dress.
Oh, or you're talking about that weird visual.
Yeah.
What is it called? Visual phenomenon.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
Optical illusion.
That's right. So this is it. This is the UFO dress phenomenon where some people think it was red, some people think it was blue.
Well, you've heard it here. That's weird, Ryan. That's
I know.
weird.
It is pretty weird.
Some things in life are weird.
They are.
Like our next topic.
Oh.
Real world weird.
Elaborate phony treasure scheme leads to dozens of arrests by Turkish authorities. This comes to us from coasttocoastam.com. Authorities in Turkey arrested over 24 individuals who are allegedly part of a complex criminal enterprise centered around fake treasure maps that led to equally phony riches.
This is one of those scams. I pride myself on the fact that I wouldn't fall for 90% of the scams. This one might get me.
Yeah. The admittedly clever scheme reportedly involved group members visiting small communities throughout the province of Tunkali with a rather tantalizing offer, wielding artificially weathered paper maps purportedly pointing to buried treasure. The con artists convinced several unwitting individuals to purchase the realistic-looking directions. However, this was merely the first part of a rather dastardly double dip orchestrated by the group. Anticipating that those who purchased the fake maps would search for the promised treasure, they buried largely worthless figurines and other relics at the spots where the riches were said to be hidden. Uncertain how to cash in on the newly discovered artifacts, the victims understandably consulted with the scammers who sold them those phony directions in the first place.
It's true. Think about it. You're in this country and you feel like you're in a movie, right? You're approached by someone. You get this treasure map. It's a real treasure map.
Right.
You know, this only happens in like Indiana Jones. So you're thinking, okay.
Like, oh my God, I found it. What do I do?
Yeah. And then you go and you do actually find it because, you know, you're not thinking too much about it, but it's in a relatively accessible area. And when you find it, you're okay. What do you do with it? Exactly. You're going to go to the person who sells you the map because it's the only person you know. You're probably worried that it's going to be illegal. Like, does the government seize treasure that you find? So how do you handle this situation?
Right. Yeah, they don't know what to do.
It's perfect. It's a perfect plan.
So here's part 2. They were subsequently put in contact with a man said to be a priest, though later revealed to be merely another miscreant from the group.
Damn miscreants.
The fake holy man claimed that the priceless relics could not be sold in Turkey, but luckily he had the connections to sell the pieces abroad for a price, of course.
Of course.
To broker the international deals, the priest demanded a sizable sum that was readily provided by the victims, who believed that the situation was on the level because the treasure maps had seemingly proven to be authentic. All told, the gang netted a staggering $1.3 million from the 2-stage scheme until the proverbial house of cards came tumbling down after police caught wind of the operations from individuals who eventually realized that they had been scammed. In an expensive operations that spanned 9 Turkish provinces, authorities arrested 25 people believed to have been participants in the complex treasure hoax that proved to be a wildly successful ruse.
All I could think of, honestly, is this is one of those stories that I would love to make a movie about. Like, this feels like such a fun storytelling thing about this elaborate ruse. And the reason why people would fall for it is because there's so many steps. You know, what you do here, you do the situation, is you actually have to track down, I think, the first people who reported about it and actually get the rights from them to turn it into a film, as well as contacting the people involved, unless you want to change the names. Is this whole big rigmarole. I've never actually had to worry about it because when I was hired to write something like this, the producers already had the rights. But this would be fun. This would be a fun movie.
I could see it. I don't know why, but my brain goes to almost like a Quentin Tarantino style. Like, I was
thinking like Ocean's 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ocean's 11.
Yeah, something like that as well. Yeah,
A fun heist.
that really would be because it is. It's scary, clever. You know, when you think that scams have,
They've come up with everything.
yeah,
Well, you know what's weird about this is the kind of people who are going to travel and then have the money and means to not only buy a map, but then finance their way to finding the treasure and then finding money to give to the priest to sell it. Like, these are people who have some wealth behind their belt. So what you do is when you make this movie, you just make it kind of a despicable character, like a really rich person who's kind of, mean to the help and, not a vamped human being. And that way you can make your focus on these misunderstood people doing the scam. I mean, in real life, it's horrible. They're jerks.
And
in a movie, you got to make them likable.
and you got to have it where just by happenstance, one like the town idiot just at the end of the movie actually like reads the map wrong, like flips it upside down and does it backwards and actually stumbles upon buried treasure.
That would be the after credit scene, Ryan.
That would be and it has to just be Opie. Opie, what are you doing? Just you got the treasure.
Yeah.
You got the treasure.
Had it the whole time. Turns out that whole scam wasn't a scam, and they were actually on the level. Twist.
They just had it upside down. They just fucked
Directed
up.
by M. Night Shyamalan.
What a twist.
Coming June 7th, 2025, it's the 3rd annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference held at Our House. With guest speakers Ronnie LeBlanc, Expedition Bigfoot, paranormal researcher Lyle Blackburn, ghost hunter Ron Iacovetti, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and from Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler. That's June 7th, 2025. Our House, located at 420 Adelphia Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tickets are $45, available at Eventbrite. We will see you there.
Earthling Entertainment special report. 1. The Minecraft movie is a hit, snagging 162 million domestically and 313 million worldwide in its opening weekend. 2. Alan Cumming is returning as Nightcrawler in Avengers Doomsday. 3. Disney is no longer moving forward with a live-action Tangled movie, seemingly due to the lukewarm response to Snow White. 4. Peacemaker Season 2 will premiere on HBO and Max August 21st, 2025. This is Earthling Entertainment Special Report.
Calling all comic fans, it's time to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics, where the freshest new issues, graphic novels, and manga hit the shelves every week. Whether you're looking for the hottest new series or the latest small press sensation, we've got it all. Every genre for every age, Green Brain Comics is your one-stop shop for all things graphic storytelling. Got questions? Our friendly staff knows their stuff. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the world of comics, we've got recommendations that'll keep you coming back for more. And don't forget to check out our special events. Green Brain Comics is not just a store, it's a community. Located in East Downtown Dearborn, we are at Green Brain Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shop online at greenbraincomics.com, and remember to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics.
It's true, you made it through to the second half of the show.
So we're going to do a segment we haven't done in a little bit. Here is...
Music Mumbles.
Sabrina Carpenter joins Fortnite universe for Festival Season 8. This comes to us from Billboard.com. As announced Monday, April 7th, Carpenter is Fortnite's icon for Season 8, which starts April 8th, meaning players can virtually perform her music while playing as the two-time Grammy winner as part of Festival, a rock band-like game that exists in the Fortnite universe.
Which I thought was really interesting, because I thought Fortnite was just like a fight to the death, kind of like a Hunger Games situation. So I didn't know that there's games within the game. They're really trying to expand Fortnite.
I have no idea. So it's like maybe like a Roblox kind of thing where it's like a million games in one. I don't know.
I don't know. The games I play, I'm pretty old school, are like single player RPGs or something. You know what I mean?
Yep, can't relate, right?
But Sabrina Carpenter, she's very famous right now. I'm surprised that I'm surprised that they put her in Fortnite. They found a way to shoe her in. They just made Jane Silent Bob in Call of Duty
Nice.
and the Ninja Turtles. So
Awesome.
everyone's getting cashed in. We should get into a video game.
That's right.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
video game?
I don't know, man.
Fallout?
Mortal Kombat. Can you
Mortal
imagine?
Kombat?
Yeah, can you imagine us? I don't want any kind of really good moves either. I want it to be like walk up just like
Hey, get over here.
It's like he threw a can of beans at him.
That would work. That would be pretty efficient, I think.
All right, yeah.
Can of beans.
Anyway,
So,
Sabrina Carpenter being in Fortnite.
Yeah, about that.
Interesting.
By unlocking the Season 8 Music Pass, fans will be able to play her hits Juno and Nonsense as jam tracks.
Finally.
Billboard Hot Top 100 Topper, Please, 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 Taste, Espresso, and Feather will also be available on Fortnite Shop. The game will let fans steal Carpenter's style too. The Girl Meets World alum's avatar will come with 4 different skins inspired by her short and sweet tour looks, including a yellow baby doll dress, an unlockable sparkly yellow bodysuit. As for
hold on though, I wanted to say, if you're going to have Sabrina Carpenter in the game as one of the characters you can play, there's a thing here. Sabrina Carpenter is, and I'm not throwing shade, it's just a fact, she is a very short woman. She is like 4'9". And if you remember right, in GoldenEye on 64, Oddjob was a character that you could play in the multiplayer, and everyone deemed him unfair because him being a shorter stature than the rest of the characters made him hard to aim at and shoot.
That's true.
So, if you could play as Sabrina Carpenter, are they going to just reskin another character with the same proportions, or are they going to make her proportionate to how she actually is, and will that help with your stealth fighting abilities?
Well, that's a good question, but I mean, is it just for this rock band thing, or can you literally be her? I guess like just walking around.
Well, now that I'm rereading it, I think what they're saying is you can play her in the rock band aspect, and then in the game, maybe you could only wear those particular outfits, which
Like
she's famous for
while
wearing.
while performing.
Which also could be funny if you had a weird character and you suddenly you could put the tiny little dress.
I mean,
Be like,
what-
all right, man, anybody out there who wants to be this guy in this tiny little dress?
that's where my
I mean,
head
more
goes.
power to you. I could see that. There's celebrities out there I would love to wear their outfits. Like even back there when you get Michael Jackson with that red leather and all the zipper tags. If we had our
Yeah.
game where we were Mortal Kombat fighters,
Uh-huh.
I would want inexplicably a Michael Jackson outfit. There's no reason for it besides Joe's dressed like the Thriller guy. He's white and he doesn't listen to pop music, so this makes a lot of sense.
To be historically accurate, I would have to have a cow suit as one of my
Ooh.
alternate. I used to wear one.
That's true. It was the cow suit from was it just a Party City thing? You wore it
Yeah.
to school a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
I did.
It's amazing
I was a
that we
strange
did so
person.
well in high school.
I didn't actually.
I remember it more fondly.
So there,
Baptism.
by the way, there is also a for-purchase tour-ready get-up featuring a pink skirt and boots, and an alternate version of the latter that comes in baby blue.
Oh, well,
There you
good.
go.
Yeah. Diverse.
Other Carpenter-related items waiting to be unlocked include a blinged-out lipstick-printed purse, as well as the star's microphone and guitars.
If there's one thing that has been missing from this simulated death match, it's been pretty purses and little skirts.
I mean,
So finally.
when you're right, Joe. The Bed Chem Singer will also introduce new emotes to the Fortnite locker, including a dance emote that lets players do the same moves, even if one doesn't own the emote. Cute taste and please, please, please emotes feature special movements choreographed to parts of their respective songs.
Okay. So I assume dances she does in her music videos
Yeah.
are on stage related to those songs.
Right.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, I not for me, but good. Good.
I'd like to see them put Maynard James Keenan from Tool into this and try to emote his weird little dance that he does on stage. I don't know if you've ever seen Tool live, but Maynard gets after it. He's crazy. I mean, he's getting older now, but back in the day, he was crazy.
That actually works. We pitch this to the company. We say we come up with the antithesis pack, right? And it's just polar opposites. So you got Maynard, Sabrina Carpenter, and you
Yep.
find some other opposites. You get like a yodeling man, and then like I don't know what would be the opposite of yodeling.
Opposite of yodeling?
Techno, because there's no singing.
Yeah, I guess techno,
Yeah,
yeah.
same
With
with-
hip hop, maybe?
Maybe, but that's kind of a lot of singing, so I don't know.
I
But
don't
then
know.
again, yodeling is very different. So yeah.
Yodelay-hee-hoo. I need more allowance, yodelay-hee-hoo. Sorry. That was
I need to save my precious yodeling.
that was from Doug. The Beats.
Moving on.
Carpenter is just the latest musician to take part in Fortnite Festival, which
Oh, the beads banging on it. No, wait, that wasn't the
no, that
beats.
was I need more allowance, yodelay-hee-hoo.
Okay.
I can't
All
believe
right.
I remember the episode because they were inspired by like the principal's yodeling group.
See, that's the kind of DLC this game needs. A
Mhm.
30 to 40-year-old Doug DLC
Goddamn
from
right.
Nickelodeon's Doug. I would play Fortnite as Skeeter.
The original Doug,
Yeah.
not that
Not that
not
Disney-
that Disney
Not when
crap.
Disney bought it. Even though
Yeah.
I really love how ambitious Disney was about Doug, because when they released their movie, there was finally a Doug movie. Look it up. The actual film is named Doug's First Movie. So they were really thinking that was going to be a hit.
Yep, not so much. Like the rest of us were like, yeah, everything's different. It's not this, you know what I mean? You lost all the old school Doug fans, and let's face it, you didn't get any new ones.
I'm just loving the. I feel like we should contact, because I know the creator's still all about it. Can you imagine Doug's second movie 40 years later? Like, how many Doug fans out there?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think it is seeing a resurgence.
I don't.
I see videos being shared, like shorts and stuff like that. I do. So she's the latest musician to take place in the Fortnite Festival, Sabrina Carpenter, which Epic Games introduced in 2023, 3 years after Travis Scott's noteworthy virtual in-game concert, which drew 12.3 million concurrent players at its peak. The Weeknd, Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish, and Karol G have all served as festival icons in the past. The Fortnite news comes amid Carpenter's ongoing trek in support of Billboard 200 #1 album, Short and Sweet, which earned 362,000 equivalent album units in its first week, by far the musician's biggest opening to date. Following a run of North American shows last fall, Carpenter is now touring through Europe on a leg that will last until early July.
Well, there you go.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. I don't know if there's much more to say about that.
I know a lot of people love Fortnite. People love Fortnite, dude. So, I mean, probably like more younger, but I mean, those kids are growing up, and if they're still doing these festivals, I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah, but the festival, like the fact that these festivals are described in this article, I'm assuming they're like actual virtual concerts where your character could join and watch. And I realize if that's the case, I really know nothing about the culture surrounding this game.
It's wild. Yeah, I don't either. I had no idea. Like, it's out of my wheelhouse. I'm more of a metalhead. It is time, fellow Earthlings, unfortunately, for us to wish a goodbye to another legend.
Remember that guy? Remember that gal? Well, now they're dead.
Richard Chamberlain, Shogun star, dies age 90. This comes to us from BBC.com. Richard Chamberlain, the actor best known for his role in the 1960s medical drama Dr. Kildare and leading role in Shogun, has died aged 90. His publicist has confirmed to the BBC. Chamberlain earned the title King of the Miniseries for his leading roles in Shogun and The Thorn Birds. He died late on Saturday night local time, which was 10:15, in Hawaii after suffering complications from a stroke. His publicist Harlan Ball confirmed just hours before he would have turned 91. Ooh.
I mean,
so close.
It's so close. It's not as heartbreaking as being like 99 and you're about to turn 100 and you die right before you're 100. Like,
especially when
Betty White really upset me by not making it to 100.
Well, they screwed up by making that 100th birthday. They were working too hard. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to prepare to celebrate a birthday that hasn't come yet. Like, remember, they were preparing this huge show for her birthday, and then she died right before.
Richard Chamberlain.
But yes, back to Richard Chamberlain, of course. So just before he turned 91, he passed away. Martin Rabbit, Chamberlain's longtime partner, called him an amazing and loving soul in a statement. He said, "Our beloved Richard is with the angels now. He is free and soaring to those loved ones before us. Richard Chamberlain, you will be missed."
Absolutely. Did you watch the original Shogun?
I didn't watch any of that, but I'll admit, like, I know I have to have seen his work because I know his name very well. Like,
Yeah,
I've heard it
very
referenced
famous
so many
actor.
times. Like, I know Richard Chamberlain. I confess, no, I didn't see the old Shogun or the remake.
Well, the remake won all kinds of awards, and because of that, I went back to watch the original, and it is good. It's good on its own merits. It's definitely a different take on it. Well, obviously, because it's based on a novel, all the same events ultimately happen.
Yeah.
But it's weird to see. It's kind of like when you get the two Dune movies, the new one versus the one from the 80s. It's just interesting to see a different idea or adaptation of the same.
And obviously, it went well.
It did. It was
Yeah.
it was a big deal back then, and yeah. So Richard Chamberlain, I do know your work, and you will be missed.
Yep, rest in peace.
And of course, we want to say goodbye to Val Kilmer, who died at 65. We don't have anything written down here because it literally happened when we dropped last week's show. So it's not everyone's heard. The news is out there.
Yeah.
You know, we're not doing anybody any favors by repeating the information, but we wanted to say I loved your work. Willow is one of my favorites, and I tip my hat to you.
I heard he was an amazing guy. Like, near the end, he barely had any money because he just gave it all away. Like, he just donated so much. Like, he was just a great guy.
Yeah. But you know what? His impact on pop culture will make him live beyond his years. And, we could show our kids some of his movies later down the line. And I'm sure, his work will still get a kick out of people.
Him as Doc Holliday will always be my favorite.
Oh, God. He was fantastic in Tombstone.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Like, you said it. I mean, it was just Doc Holliday. His performance blew me away. And, that may have been not counting Batman, Batman Forever. That may
I
have been
loved
like
that movie.
one of the first introductions to him I had.
I think it might have been Batman Forever first for me because I
That's
was
what I'm
young.
saying, yeah.
And I thought he did great. Like, 'cause you know what I mean? I was young. It was an impressionable age when that came out. What was that, like 94, I think? Somewhere around there.
It was mid-90s.
Yeah.
That Seal did Kiss by a Rose on the way.
Awesome.
Ooh. That song, man, revitalized the Seal's career. So Batman did a lot of things. Joel Schumacher. A lot of people aren't happy with that guy's direction he took Batman, but that first one, Batman Forever.
I thought it was good. Yeah.
It was. It was good. It was just, it still felt Tim Burton-y and still felt gothic-y, you know what I mean?
Very.
Whereas the fourth one with Clooney just kind of felt different. It felt like suddenly we were in more of an industrial, but yet industrial in like a neon nightclub.
I agree with that. Yeah, like that whole scene with the gang with all the neon colors and stuff like that. They really went out there with that kind of stuff, and with Mr. Freeze.
Well, that scene in of itself was pretty cool and stylistic.
Yeah.
It's just, it was too much of a departure from the tone they had already created with the first three.
I agree. But no, I still always loved Val Kilmer's work as Bruce Wayne and Batman for that series.
It's true. Val Kilmer, you will be missed. And now it's time for one of our favorite parts of this show, Earthling Entertainment Headlines. Ryan, take it away.
Dan Trachtenberg's Predator, Killer of Killers, drops new trailer, hits Hulu this June.
This comes to us from Fangoria.com.
The animated anthology will follow the warriors across different eras of human history. After breathing new life into the sci-fi horror franchise with Prey, Dan Trachtenberg's back with the first of his 2 upcoming Predator projects, the second being the upcoming Predator Badlands.
Which I'm really excited for because apparently the Predator is the protagonist. So we're taking a different route. He's, doing something new. I'm excited, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what movie we're talking about.
Huh.
But this anthology one seems pretty amazing. So let's get back to that.
And Predator's badass. So, who
Always
does-
has been.
Yeah. With today bringing a first trailer for today and a poster for Predator, Killer of Killers.
That's a cool name. Predator, Killer of Killers.
That's right.
Mm.
So, a 3-part animated anthology, Predator, Killer of Killers, will premiere on Hulu on June 6th with a voice cast that includes Lindsay Lavanchi, Luis Azawa, Rick Gonzalez, and Michael Bain. Josh Wasung from animation company The Third Floor co-directed the project alongside Trachtenberg while on location for the upcoming Predator Badlands, from a story written by Miko Robert Ruter and Trachtenberg. Here is the full synopsis. The anthology story follows 3 of the fiercest warriors in human history, a Viking raider guiding her young son on a bloody quest for revenge,
That sounds awesome.
a ninja in feudal Japan who turns against his samurai brother in a brutal battle for succession,
That also sounds awesome.
and a World War II pilot who takes to the sky to investigate an otherworldly threat to the Allied cause.
Okay, all of these seem like great ideas I'd like to see full movies about. I'm kind of bummed that they're just going to be, part of an anthology, but at least we get to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on board. Oh, that sounds great.
But while these warriors are killers in their own right, they are merely prey for their new opponent, the ultimate killer of killers.
Oh, title significance.
So, released in 2022, Trachtenberg's Prey was a huge hit, even with no theatrical release, resurrecting the Predator franchise and racking up 6 Emmy Award nominations, along with Killer of Killers and Badlands, which hits theaters on November 7th. We could see a Prey sequel in the future, as star Amber Midthunder has expressed interest in returning as Comanche warrior Naru.
Yeah, you know what was really cool about that Prey movie is it was the only film that I'm aware of that they actually dubbed in Comanche as a language option.
That's awesome.
Isn't that pretty cool? Whether you're watching it on Hulu or you happen to have a physical copy of it, you could watch it in Comanche.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So his follow-up, originally we thought it would be a direct follow-up to Prey, like an actual sequel. So when they announced Badlands, and like I mentioned, where the Predator itself is going to be the protagonist, a lot of people are like, oh, I guess they're not doing that. But we could be wrong. I mean, Andrew Garfield said that he wasn't in Spider-Man No Way Home for up until the release date. So maybe Amber Midthunder has done a scene or something, and this is in some way a sequel. I don't know.
It's a possibility.
We'll have to wait and see. But an anthology film direct to Hulu, I am definitely down for this. I want to see the Viking one.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, out of all three, because Viking, Ninja, World War II. World War II is cool because you're going to get the whole ancient alien feel, because that's what they made it sound like, a World War II pilot. And then Ninja, okay, I love ninjas, but the Viking one.
Yeah, the Viking and the World War II pilot one sounds cool.
Headline number 2.
Death Stranding live action movie has its director. This comes to us from IGN.com. Michael Sarnowski, director of A Quiet Place, Day One, is reportedly set to write and direct the live-action adaptation of Kojima Productions' Death Stranding.
Great game, by the way.
Per Deadline, Sarnowski will write and direct the Death Stranding adaptation, with A24 and Kojima Productions producing, alongside Square Peg. Sarnowski directed and wrote for both the A Quiet Place spin-off, Day One, and 2021's Pig, starring Nicolas Cage.
And Pig was not normally my type of movie, but I got to tell you, Nicolas Cage blew me away with his performance in that film. And that is the first time I heard of this director. And I liked A Quiet Place Day One. So to see,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, right? So to see what he would do with Death Stranding, I'm interested, because Death Stranding is post-apocalyptic, and Quiet Place Day One showed a lot of ruins of New York. And I think this guy has a feel for that kind of genre.
Few details were given about what the live-action adaptation of Death Stranding would entail. The original 2019 game sent players out into the wasteland to try and reconnect a scattered America amid an extinction-level event in a world haunted by nightmarish creatures and strange happenings. It's already good movie fodder before you factor in Hideo Kojima's cinematic tendencies.
Oh, yeah, dude. This guy loves basically making things feel like movies. In one of his Metal Gear Solid games, after you beat it, the cutscene at the end of the game was like 23 minutes.
Wow.
Like, it just kept going. If people talk about Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy having a billion endings, Hideo Kojima, man, he likes his cinematic cutscenes.
That's awesome. Death Stranding also featured a star-studded cast that included Norman Reedus in the lead role of Sam Bridges. It'll be interesting to see if he reprises his role for the live-action adaptation.
I imagine he would. I mean, why not? He's already an actor. I mean, they might have to pay more money, but I feel like you're not going to get as many fans if you don't get him. It's one thing when it comes to Last of Us, where they recasted the voice actors, because the voice actors didn't necessarily look like their characters or weren't age appropriate for their characters. But in Death Stranding's case, they mapped the character off his face. It is him. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't he do it? You can't just I mean, I guess you can. I don't know.
I could see them going either way, honestly. So,
It all depends on money.
yeah. So there's still more for Death Stranding in store, though, as Kojima Productions recently confirmed Death Stranding 2 on the Beach will launch later this year on June 26, 2025 on PlayStation 5. The next game in Death Stranding saga also picked up some more stars, including the likes of Luca Marinelli and Elle Fanning.
I love Elle Fanning ever since Super 8.
Hopefully, this particular project forges ahead, as the Metal Gear Solid movie is still reportedly being worked on despite showing slowing updates. With all the stars and cinematics, though, Death Stranding certainly seems poised to make the jump into live action. So, I mean, I love Norman Reedus. I never played this game, but I mean, I'm a big fan of him. I've been a fan of him ever since Boondock Saints.
Oh, absolutely. And then, when it was funny because Walking Dead started and I watched it and I was like, yay, it's the guy from Boondock
Me
Saints.
too.
Awesome.
Yep.
But now every time someone watches Boondock Saints, they're like, hey, it's Daryl from The Walking Dead.
Yep. No, he'll always be. I love that movie. I don't know why I grew up on that movie. So I've always loved his work. So I hope they go with him coming back. I mean, that's awesome that he played the character in the game too. I didn't even know that he did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, the game was a lot of fun. You were basically a courier in between posts, and you kind of it was a weird game where you were walking around trying to like balance these packages, and they couldn't fall. It sounds very interesting. The parts that I played were fun. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, a lot of weird imagery. I think it felt like a game that would be great as a movie, but unless you were a real big fan of the gameplay loop, you might not love it as a game. I did, but I like weird games, and I kind of tend to like what's called walking simulators. So, that's just me.
Yeah. No, you're not alone. Someone coded and made that game. So
Yeah,
someone felt
Hideo
very.
Kojima.
Yeah. So I guess that brings us to headline number 3. Happy Death Day is finally moving forward. This comes to us from bloodydisgusting.com. Just 1 week after yet another non-update on the status of Happy Death Day 3, franchise star Jessica Roth announced at a double feature screening of the first 2 movies that the long-awaited third installment in the horror comedy franchise is now moving forward. It's been 6 years since the release of Death Day to You.
Happy Death Day to you.
Thank you. Happy Death Day to you. With fans spending these past 6 years wondering why the financially successful franchise hasn't yet made its return. Landon recently revealed that Universal and Blumhouse at one point considered doing a third installment as a 3-part miniseries for Peacock, which of course didn't end up happening. Back in 2020, Christopher Landon had revealed that the working title for the third installment was Happy Death Day to Us, said to be different than the other 2 films.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the first Happy Death Day was kind of like a Groundhog's Day situation. A character named Tree woke up the day she was killed and lives this whole day, gets killed, and then wakes up and has to live the day over and over again, and then tries to find out who killed her. It was like a slasher. And then the second one brought in more sci-fi elements and was I don't want to give that one away, but it was they found a way to do it again where it made sense. And then so the third one, I mean, how it would be different from the other 2, Happy Death Day to Us, you could only imagine that it's a large group of people going through a repeating day situation. I always love the Groundhog Day trope.
Yeah.
Every sci-fi show has done it too, where it's like, we're stuck in a simulation, or there's an artifact that's making this happen.
No, it's always a good story.
I want to write one of these, man, where we relive the same day over and over again. You just got to come up with a clever hook. And if you can't come up with a clever hook, if you're going to do something that's been done over and over again, like the body swap trope, you gotta be funny about it, right? You gotta really come up with some, if not a unique story, some really good scenes that people haven't seen before.
I mean, yeah, you'd have to.
So I wonder what they're in, the Happy Death Day 3. I wonder what they're thinking. What originality, how do you bring that to the table? I'm so down for it, man.
Yeah. So here's a quote. It says, "I would love if we had the opportunity to complete the trilogy," Roth told Coming Soon back in 2020. "I know that Chris has it all mapped out in his genius brain, but I also know that we only want to complete it if we get to do it right. I think it's just a question of seeing if the opportunity for that exists in the world." End quote.
Basically, we don't want to do this if we can't get enough money to make a movie actually, end it properly. We don't want to do this for a made-for-TV budget.
So that's right. And Roth continues, "But the funny thing is, I have a feeling whether it's now or in 5 years or 10 or 20, if we pull a Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween and Tree comes back as a badass 50-year-old, I know that we will get to tell the rest of the story. I love Tree. I love that character so much, and I feel very, very grateful to have been a part of that."
And you know what? I'm glad we didn't have to wait that long, but sometimes sequels that are that long, ending a trilogy, like Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted did a great job. They had their third film in 2020, and it really did a good job of wrapping up their story. So I get what she's saying here.
Yeah, I agree. The status of Happy Death Day 3 at this time is in the earliest of stages. But this is the first time the project has been given any sort of green light.
Yeah, so it's going to happen. That's the takeaway there, man.
Hey, and that's good for them. That's awesome. So, I hope if everybody's looking forward to that, it's coming up.
You know what? The one thing that I've been looking forward to, Ryan?
What's that?
A Jurassic Park, but not another movie, which I am also looking forward to, but a real life Jurassic Park. Back in our earlier episodes, we had a very short-lived segment called Mammoth. Was it Mammoth?
Mammoth Talk.
Mammoth Talk, where we talked about how scientists using the CRISPR and other techniques were basically going to bring back the mammoth.
And it's going to be a real mammoth. Like, yeah, they're using the genes from like the Indian elephant or whatever, the DNA strands. Just
they're doing exactly what Jurassic Park suggested,
right? But it's literally, when we see one, it's not going to be like, oh, okay, so it's half mammoth, half Indian elephant. No. It's going to be a mammoth. It's exactly what it was.
Well, you know what? Coming in from the back, you know who won? Because it's happened, and it wasn't a mammoth. We've actually done it. We have brought a species back from the dead, Ryan.
Direwolves.
Oh my God. Headline number 4.
Scientists have made direwolves history's first de-extinct animal. This comes to us from Nerdist.com. Scientists have produced 3 pups, best known as House Stark's sigil. They are the first de-extinct animal in history.
Beat the mammoths, man. Beat the mammoths by only a couple years.
They beat them, but yeah.
Can you imagine if you were the guy working on the mammoth project? Like, son of a...
Direwolves.
Who saw that coming?
Colossal Biosciences has announced a major scientific breakthrough. The company says it has given birth to the world's first successfully de-extincted animal by bringing back direwolves. The 3 animals are the first of its kind since the creature went extinct 12,500 years ago.
Direwolves. They're like regular wolves, only dire.
I could not be more proud of the team.
Hold on, that was a South Park reference. Was it the video game?
That was the video game.
Right.
I believe that was straight up from the first one, Stick of Truth.
Excellent. All right, now so go back to this scientist's quote.
I could not be more proud of the team, said Colossal CEO Ben Lamb in his press release. This massive milestone is the first of many coming examples demonstrating that our end-to-end de-extinction technology stack works. Our team took DNA from a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull and made healthy direwolf puppies.
Science.
Most people know direwolves from George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. Colossal Biosciences paid homage to Martin's story by naming its female direwolf Khaleesi. It named its 2 male pups after mythical founders of Rome, the twins Romulus and Remus, who legend says a she-wolf raised. The company says all 3 direwolves are thriving on a 2,000-plus acre secure, expansive ecological preserve that is certified by American Humane Society and registered with USDA. Yay for direwolves.
Yay!
And here at Earthling Entertainment, we see the writing on the wall and would like to welcome our future dinosaur overlords. All hail the Dilophosaurus, which we assume is naturally going to be the leader of this new world. Yay for direwolves and science.
We do see the writing on the wall on this one.
I mean, well, I am for it when it comes to things like this. I respect people's opinion, if it weirds them out that we're bringing stuff back, but
do you remember?
I think it's cool.
I mean, I don't remember if it was 90s or early 2000s, but everyone got pissed off when they made Dolly the clone sheep. And now we're bringing back wolves, and they're just like, yeah, woo, it's fine.
Oh, it's sweet.
Yeah. It is pretty cool, man. I'm down. Everything old is new, whether it be dire wolves or old cartoons.
Very old cartoons.
Well, it's not that old. It's like the 60s. I guess that's old.
So yeah,
I guess that's what. I guess that at this point is 60 years old.
That's pretty old.
All right. Headline number 5.
Scooby-Doo live action show ordered to series at Netflix with 8 episodes.
Ooh. I'm excited for this. I like every Scooby-Doo iteration. I even like that HBO show Velma, where they completely like seemed like they were making decisions to piss off Scooby-Doo fans. Even that, I was like, all right, I'm along for the ride.
All right.
I mean, it doesn't matter because if you look at the Scooby-Doo stuff, if you go on IMDb and you Google Scooby-Doo, they do 2 to 4 seasons of a show, and then a year passes and there's another iteration of the show. So I don't understand why anyone gets pissed off, because if you don't like a particular Scooby-Doo show or animation or voice actor, just give it a minute.
This comes to us from Variety.com. That was the worst Scooby-Doo anyone's ever done.
Ryan, Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh. I guess I can't do it. The Scooby-Doo live-action series is officially moving forward at Netflix, with the streamer picking up the show for 8 episodes. First reported to be in development at Netflix in April of 2024, with a script-to-series commitment. The show will delve into how Mystery Incorporated and their beloved Great Dane first teamed up together, so we get their origin story. Have they done this?
No, yeah, they've done this a billion times, and the
Okay.
origin story is always different. They did it with they most recently with the 3D animated, theatrical film Scoob, which they had an origin story. And by the way, they had a sequel to that, which was Scooby-Doo Halloween
Didn't they have a
Haunt,
puppy?
and it got canceled.
A puppy named Scooby-Doo?
It was
there?
early 1990s, and it was a pup named Scooby.
That was it. That
yeah,
was it.
yeah. It was like Muppet Babies, but for Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. So I guess that's the true origin story.
Well, there's been a lot of origin stories, like I said, because I mean, I could name like 4 others. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Continue, Ryan.
Mystery Incorporated is back in business. We're excited to bring Scooby-Doo to TV as a live-action series for the first time, said Peter Friedlander, Vice President of Scripted Series for Netflix. The official logline for the show describes it as a modern reimagining of the popular cartoon show.
Again.
Here we go. During their final summer at camp, old friends Shaggy and Daphne get embroiled in a haunting mystery surrounding a lonely, lost Great Dane puppy that may have been a witness to a supernatural murder, the logline reads. Together with the pragmatic and scientific townie Velma and the strange but ever so handsome new kid Freddy, they set out to solve the case that is pulling each of them into a creepy nightmare that threatens to expose all of their secrets.
I can't lie. That log line really works for me. I'm down because they're summer camp, so it takes place probably out of summer camp. So that's a point for me because I love horrors and scary stuff. Horrors that take place at summer camps.
You do.
I really, really, really like the fact that they describe Velma as like a townie, and Fred's always the hot new kid. But I'm down, and I really like this whole idea that Daphne and Shaggy are friends.
Yeah, those are the friends.
Yeah,
Which is
and
weird.
No, it's not weird. It actually happened because there was a cartoon in the 80s called The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. And in that show, Daphne and Shaggy were there, and there was no Velma and Fred. And it was their adventure. And then later on, there was a movie that came out maybe 5 years ago that was Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts or whatever it was. You could look it up. It's very easy to find. And that was the actual ending to the 13-episode run of the Scooby-Doo show that came out in the 80s. They actually decided to end the show, and they made mention of, remember that weird summer when we went and did this thing without Daphne and Velma? So them being friends is canon, Ryan, before others.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Uncultured swine.
I was waiting. Sounded like that was going to get worse at first there. We're thrilled to collaborate with our long-standing partners at Berlanti Productions and with Midnight Radio to bring the legendary Scooby-Doo franchise to a live-action series for the first time. It's no mystery why audiences continue to love these iconic characters after more than half a century. We're excited for a new generation to discover Mystery Incorporated, and we're grateful to our partners at Netflix for the opportunity, said Clancy Collins White, president of creative affairs for Warner Brothers Television.
Yeah. So what I like about this is I don't normally appreciate the fact that they make such short episodes now. I miss the day that TV shows had like 22 or 24 episodes in a series, in a season. But with it being 8 episodes and it also being an origin story where the mystery is surrounded by Scooby-Doo, I think it lends itself very well to a story that could be one season and then be over, which you have to do with Netflix because Netflix just cancels stuff. After like 2 or 3 seasons, they're not bringing in new viewers, new subscriptions to the show. They're like, oh, well, there's no point in continuing it. So I feel like if you have a Netflix show, it's your job as a creator, as a showrunner, to end your narrative every season. So that way you have no lingering thread lines. But that's just me.
No, it makes sense to me too. I actually think that it sounds like it's going to be a good show. I was never even that big of a fan of Scooby-Doo, honestly. I grew up on it too, like everybody else, my age. And I saw, I think my favorite one was the Batman and Robin they did with Scooby-Doo. And it was like an old one. Good for Scooby-Doo fans. This is coming. So
What's Scooby-Doo good for Scooby-Doo fans? It's good for the world.
There you go. So look forward to that next year on Netflix.
All right. And sadly, that brings us to the end of the episode. But tell me, guys, did you like the show today?
I did.
Awesome. Well, if so, please hit that download button. Downloading the episode is the best way to support the show.
And your mission, fellow Earthlings, is to share this episode, this particular podcast, with a friend, with a coworker, with a loved one, with a fellow Earthling. Do it now.
That's right. So from all of us here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya.
Adios.